Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's coverage of what's expected to be some great racing for the Mumbai Falcons Indian eRacing Championship in association with Volkswagen Motorsport India. Today, it's the start of the Junior Series at the Oklahoma International Circuit, as well as the second race of the Pro Series later on this evening at the Circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. I'm Justin Prince, alongside the director's seat for today is Saurabh Bandyopadhyay, known for his exploits in the Volkswagen Amio Cup. It's expected to be an interesting start to the campaign for many of these youngsters who are looking to come up the ranks in regards to iRacing competition, as well as gain experience to eventually have a shot to run up in the Pro Series. It should be a great season, to say the very least. We'll have to see how things shape out to begin the campaign, to say the very least. Some of the drivers who have competed in previous series of the campaigns across the Indian eRacing Championship are part of today, but many newcomers look to show what they can do and build their brands for today's action. Before we get into the details for today, we'd like to remind you that this series is presented by Volkswagen Motorsport Association. They launched the Podium Bowl Cup in 2010, marked their entrance into the Indian motorsport. The aim was to provide a platform for young drivers to begin a professional racing career and display their skills on the national level. Since then, they produced many race drivers who have progressed to race internationally. The organization continues to groom budding racing talent into world-class drivers and have recently won the Indian Touring Car Championship. After the pole, they had the Ventio Cup and the Amio Cup. They're also going back to the polls for the upcoming seasons in racing action. Qualifying is currently underway at Oklahoma International Circuit. For those who do not know, in previous seasons, many of the races for this series and its predecessors ran at majority free iRacing circuits on the service. Same goes for the start of the Junior Series today. And the Oklahoma International Circuit is a track that's been known for putting on some great racing in this series. 2.31 miles, 11 turns at Oklahoma, Japan, with many decent passing zones, as well as many different spots to have mistakes throughout today's action. Sadie Saran is currently at the top of the board, following along board with the third place driver qualifying. This is Pierre Sheep. Many newcomers into this series' competition for the Junior Series this upcoming summer. To show what he can show today in speed, was one of the quickest drivers in practice. Let's take a quick listen. Tempers flaring there at the start and finish line as Pierre Sheep got held up at the end of his qualifying attempt right there. He's been now also shuffled down to P5 on the board in the qualifying session. 1:24.505 his quickest time. Quickest time in the session overall, a 1:23.345. Drivers in practice went as fast as the 1:22s in 30 minutes of preparation for today. In total, 19 competitors have made their way to the racetrack today. In total, 18 have attempted laps in this qualifying session. Have to keep an eye on some of these competitors today to see how they perform, to say the very least. Especially, say, a Warrior, as well as Iyer, who are currently 2 and 3 on the board in the 7 and 10 machines, respectively. It's a familiar name in P4, by the way. Gupta, if you remember, ran in previous series of this campaign, including in the springtime, predecessor to the Pro Series. Ran some decent speed at some of the races, but had up and downs in that campaign. So we're going to show what he can do today in the Junior Series to open up this season's campaign. Currently looking good in qualifying. A P3 now on the board. A 1:23.891, his quickest time in qualifying. Track conditions today, 78 degrees at Fahrenheit, clear blue skies. 84 degrees is the track temp. Wind is currently gusting to the southeast at 2 miles an hour for today's action. Humidity at 54%. For what's expecting to be an exciting opener to the Junior Series. Reminder, with the timing coming up to the final 30 seconds on the clock, we've seen this before that drivers will be given up to 3 minutes to complete their final qualifying lap. That is currently in progress, and right now, at the moment, one, maybe two drivers may be within range. Several drivers have elected to already finish up their qualifying. Devjit Abdak is currently in P7. You see on the board. Currently off into the sand trap, and he'll have a chance to finish off his last lap. Everybody except for Gupta currently running on the track will have that chance. For those watching an iRacing broadcast for the first time, if you have an off track at any point during the qualifying lap, it will end up, in turn, being disallowed that specific time. Pressure is on to make sure you don't clip the grass, don't overrun the curbing with more than one wheel or half your race car, and in turn, make sure you don't make mistakes here at Okayama. There's a mistake there, for example, from Abjak, as that does count for the incident point hard into the wall. And a qualified run for the 7th-place driver on the board, to say the very least. Last 3 drivers are coming across the stripe. The next couple moments or so on the clock, about a minute or so for the last of the drivers to set their times. Rayo parking his machine. Dushyant crossing the stripe. Last of the competitors have now made their way across the stripe. The only reason there's more time is, well, one of the superstars from some various era sims had a spin on his qualifying attempt the final time around. One driver a couple fans have kept an eye on, Garvit Agarwal. He's P3 after he crossed the stripe in the final moments on the initial clock for qualifying. See how his speed translates today here in iRacing, as the last competitor is coming across the stripe right now, and Shan Bard, as the clock now reaches its final few moments. Before we touch towards your starting grid, take a quick step aside. Take a look at how these drivers will line up in just a few moments. You're watching the Mumbai Falcons Indian eRacing Championship in association with Volkswagen Motorsport India and the Junior Series Season 1 action. Drivers are now making their way to the starting grid to start off the Junior Series season. Let's take a look at how they'll line up in the next minute or so. It's Sei Saran starting on the pole today in the number 3 machine, a 1:23.345 in qualifying, but Belwar in P number 2. Agarwal is in P3, Gupta in P number 4. Iyer starts in P5 today with Amatish Rail in P number 6. Janik Panchal starts in P7 with Abdak in P number 8. Dushyant starts in P9, and Sheaf was in the top 3 in the early parts of qualifying. Once the track ripped up, he dropped to P10. Didi finished in P11 in qualifying. Shadhari is in P12. Shibran Biswas is in P13 today, with Privy in P14 in the 11 car. Chanel starts in the 15th spot. Kanepi Bard, along with the last of the drivers, and Abdish Kadam round out the 18 competitors expected to take the grid today. Engines are revving. The green lights are out. We're underway for the Junior Series at Okayama International Circuit. Great launch for Saren off the jump. Karam from the very back of the field had spun out. Everybody else clean for the most part so far in the opening corners. Biswas and Prithvi had also had an incident off in turns 1 and 2. They are now making their way through Mosses off towards the Atwood curve. Big miss of the braking zone. Off the racetrack goes Garvit Agarwal. The 16 has spun around going through the Atwood curve. He's now to the back of the field. The leaders, though, are running off and away. Saren is currently in the front. You can see the reasoning for some of the trouble back there. You see Saren now try and hold on for the time being. If you remember back to some of the races in this series' predecessors back in the springtime, it was difficult to hold on once the tire wear settled in with some of the draft factoring in. But remember, the dirty air can also be a factor here today at Okayama International Circuit for these junior machines. Should note, you may notice that it's currently a P3 for Saren. That's because Prithvi and Kadam have both pulled off the racetrack with tow trucks. They will cycle to the back of the field right now and move Saren up to the front of the field. He's your leader at lap 1. 20 minutes are on the clock for today. Estimated 14 laps the distance. Lap times around the 120-ish mark, give or take, we've seen. Here we are currently with a good jump so far. Biggest movers out the jump. Harf Chanel was able to get +6. Canopy. Raya Pepini, rather, I should say, the 48, was able to jump up +4. Slipstream, a big part of this racetrack. It's a track that opened a few decades ago. It was one of the first private tracks in all of Japan. In fact, in the world, all its corners named after English drivers made their names in British motorsport. For example, we're heading off towards Redmond before they go off to Hobbs and Mike Knight Corner. This was one of the biggest danger zones back in the springtime for some of these drivers, including Gupta, who struggled in this section. Gupta currently in P4 right now, nice and clean. He has had to pull on the tow truck as Saren's still running off and away. About 0.4 of a second is the gap. Lap times coming across the stripe this time by C. Saren and Company 1:23.8. 0.3 lost by second on back on lap number 2. Spell Warrior is dealing with a bit of that arrow push we talked about a little bit. That's been such a factor throughout the iRacing service the past few months. Ira is currently comfortable in key number 4. The top 4 ran away by more than a second. Rayo is currently in the 5th position. And Shaw is currently up to P6, a +1 off the jump for him. He's in P7 at the moment. He's trying to hold off a battle for P8. Veer Sheep trying to send the dive bomb up the inside, not able to make it work in the hairpin. Off into the revolver they go, off towards Piper. Veer Sheep able to take away P7 though, able to force some bit of mistake there. Let's take a look. Well, that wasn't just forcing a mistake, that was punting somebody off the racetrack, pardon. So a spin around for contact for the 7th position. Sheaf may have a bit of front wing damage from that. Should also note P9 and Chanel had also spun off the racetrack and now is struggling at the end of the top 11. 12 drivers on the lead lap, and this is what we were just talking about. The 19 machine had several off tracks in Sector 2 that spun around the hairpin and the revolver, went off the track off of Piper. Now went from P9 all the way to P11. That was about 7+ seconds lost. Jihara Backing off this time, a bit more slower on corner entry, looking to be more patient over the leaders. We're seeing this man run off and away into the sunset. Toren, an environmental engineering student by profession, is a gamer by passion. He's actually an admin for one of the main YouTube channels in India for YouTube gaming. Shown a lot of great speed in today's action, to say the very least, on the clock. Already approaching 6 minutes in. He is growing the gap by 0.3 of a second a lap. Gupta's also losing touch, as you can see here, though. 1:24.3. Last time by, the leaders are running the 1:23.5s. Track speeding up a little bit as the fuel's starting to burn out here at Okayama. But tire wear, remember, was a factor in some of the battles in the past few times. As you can tell on the board, though, Sheaf is up to P3. P6, rather. That's because the drivers like Abdeck having troubles. Who's in P8 just had a bit of an off-track for him. Everyone else on down, as you see Abdeck losing touch with the cars in front. He's 20 seconds behind the race leader, running in P8. 2 seconds behind him is Dushan, I should rather say, with a chance to reel him on in if the mistakes continue. Curious how many drivers may be taking notes as this race goes on to see what happens in Circus Franco shop with some of the craziness that happened here last season. The competition. Let's see, though, their grouping has built up. This is the 10th on that group. Technical issues for Bard up at the front of this grouping. May cause some trouble, nearly hitting the back end. That was Shadhari joining a bit of the fun there. Nearly hit the back lane of the 19 machine. More cleaner this time. Coming up to 8 minutes on the clock down. For the opening race of the Junior Series, in trouble. Had noticed the 19 may have been potentially having some stuff with the steering wheel, some quick flicks in the corners. On iRacing, you do have the option, say, of using a controller, and that time it looks like something failed on his setup in the steering. Hard left went the 19 into the fence. Tow truck used. My goodness. Let's turn the battles into a bit of separation for the time being. Barnett started to run away, meanwhile, for a little bit in this grouping. Shtari is now up to P11 on the racetrack. The car behind he is 1 lap down, so a 2-car fight for position. Still dealing with those technical issues, which may cause a little bit of hampering here, and traffic is starting to actually pass by the fans for position. Shajari still wanted to find a way by. This could be tough, though, because you want to know the exact position of the car in this situation. Looks like he's finally built up enough of a run he's confident on. Nareet Chadari to the inside, to the first corner. Forced a mistake. Takes the spot away into Williams. Nice clean pass to take away P10. So a +2 for him on the race. Bard, that car behind, is still the biggest mover on the racetrack, and now he's off the racetrack. Ajin Bard really overshot Atwood corner. Braking mark so important. He missed it by about 10 boards. Still clean, though. That's the point, and he is also the last car running on the lead lap as Saran runs away with the race lead. 10 minutes onto the clock. One of our drivers for tonight, Shubham Biswas, said earlier today what he thought of today in today's driver interview.
My name is Shivam Biswas. I live in a small town called Baharampur in West Bengal. I am a student. I have just moved to college. I will be just moving to college after this COVID situation. And yeah, I was a science student in my 10th, in my 12th, but I've taken admission in computer science engineering. Other than sim racing, music is one of my hobbies. Then I like to drive our car around the city. That's a very unusual hobby, but I have that. Yeah.
Good personality. He's been having a rough race, should note. He is in 18th position, officially 6 laps down and off the racetrack. Fortunate start to his campaign. One car is off in the backdrop. That was Kadam, who has been having a rough race, 2 laps down. The top 2, though, are within a few tenths of one another. Warrior is now within 9, make it 8 tenths, as Saran's tire wear has started to kick in. About a tenth of a second quicker last time. He's been a tenth of a second quicker on average over the past 5 laps, with 8 minutes on the clock, coming up to 6 laps to go this time by. Saran trying to break up the slipstream, actually gaining a bit of ground this time into the hairpin. Warrior, though, with some good confidence in the braking zone to reel him back in. Lost a tenth, though, this time. Sen really losing the back end. Having to be careful on the throttle. Just lost 3 tenths in Sector 2 alone. Rough lap for him after closing in within a second. Now the gap is back to 1.1. Gained some time back on the exit of the last corner. It's going to need to take a bit of luck, though, to try and reel it in, especially with Saran setting the fastest lap of the race. 1:23.189, that time by. Coming now to 5 to go this upcoming time by. Sector 1 has been the strength, it seems, for Warrior on these laps, but Saran has been so good in Sector 2 to run away the technical part of the racetrack. Warrior was able to get a good run. The fuel economy and performance analysis engineer for Fiat closes on in, now within 8 tenths of a second. Trying to maximize the performance. The problem has been in this part of the racetrack. We've seen a Revolver, Piper, Redmond, along with Hobbs. You'll see the back end kick out a little bit in the corner with some of the aero. That's where he's lost all his time in this section. Time is now about 1.2 seconds. Check 1.1-ish. It is bouncing back and forth, but is he going to have a shot? The Warrior to reel him on in. 5 laps to go. Of note, Abdak has had to pull his car into the pit lane due to damage. He was among the drivers inside the top 10. See, the gap between 2 and 3 is about 5 seconds between Gupta and company. Iyer is currently 4th, about 11 seconds back. 5 seconds to the next position. Rayo is in P5 on the racetrack. Within 3 seconds of trying to reel in the 4th position to start the season. P7 and P8 nearly had a scary moment. You may have noticed a bit of dirt puffs. They had to check up big time because Gadam nearly came back on the racing line with his troubles 3 laps down and nearly collected the battle for P7. Angel is far away from this group, but Sheaf and Dutchan are now within range a little bit once more. Huge send for the 2 to the inside. Can't get there. And a big mistake. Off the racetrack. Bit of the shortcut for the short course. Able to save him from losing more time. But now, the battle is broken up. Here's a look. Overshot of the apex. Part dirtier, part too much speed in. Right there, the pavement just helps him kick it back in. Shadari is currently within 3 seconds of him, by the way. The last driver of the lead lap is Bard, who is +7 from the drop of the green flag. 4 laps to go, and the lead is separated, by the way, for the time being, to back to 1.3 seconds. See that gap grow right there. This part of the racetrack has been Saran's strength all day. Every time that Warrior has been able to gain time in Sector 1, where he's been able to carry more speed, the first quarter, Williams, as well as the Atwood curve, he's lost it from hairpin to revolver, all the way to the Mike Knight corner. It's now 1.9-ish seconds, about 1.8 in fact, off the corner exit. The last corner is where the 7 has been able to gain some time, but it's hard to keep up when the fastest car on the track is the race leader. 2/10 gain. Three laps to go this time. Take a quick listen in Sector 2 here and just hear some of the patience on the throttle and braking points in the gears. Just nice and patient throughout the corners. Too patient, you can argue, in the final corner. But still has the 1.4 second gap. The problem is lap traffic is a bit up the road. Kadam and Bard are up the track. Fastest lap set of the race, though, surprisingly, was by the 7. He found something all of a sudden with the speed in Sector 1 and was able to stabilize the gap in Sector 2. Well, we are. Here comes the lap traffic. Kadam nearly spins around trying to let the leader go. He's off the racetrack again into the tires. Top 2 are nice and safe. They pull off and away, but however, that was big. Saran lost about 6/10 trying to get by the lap car. Coming up to the white flag this time. Warrior now within 6/10. Backhand kicks out again for him. 3/10 lost again in the revolver. Of note, Rayo has had to come down to pit. He had an off track from 6th spot, has to replace his damage on his car, sacrifices a top 7 position. But Saran has grown the gap again to 1.1 seconds. 2 lap cars are up on the road. In this final lap, white flag. This time, 30 seconds on the clock. Privy moving to the inside into turn 1. Saran forced to take the high side contact. Saran knocked off the racetrack. The race leader wrecked on the white flag lap. Unbelievable as Saran still can't get the car going. The Warrior is now in the race lead because of that. Gupta to second. Ivor is now in P3. Unbelievable. And say may be fuming in that cockpit, to say the very least. What was looking like a strong performance to open up the season ends in disaster. Pancho now has a chance to even steal away P4 with some of the damage on that race car. Well, it's going to take us one mistake. But for Bolariar, I don't know if he was expecting this to be the way to open up the Junior Series season, but out of the final corners, he'll take the checkered flag. He's your race winner to open up the junior campaign for the Mumbai Falcons Indian eRacing Championship in association with Volkswagen Motorsport India. Wow. Gupta second, Iron P3, and a what if for Saran in P4. My goodness. He does hold on, did lose 2 seconds that lap as Pat Shaw will come home in P5. Have to feel for him. Chief up to P6. He was able to pull away from Shikari to the checkered flag in the battle for 6th position. P8 will end up going to Dachant. Bard rounding out the top 9. Rayo, Agarwal, Didi, and Prithvi, the last cars running. Everybody else multiple laps down. DNF Schnall, along with Abdek, Kadam, Kapani with a quiet race, 11 laps down, and Bijwaj rounded out the 18 drivers who made it to the racetrack. We'll take a step aside. When we come back, we'll have the Pro Series hit the racetrack. You're watching the Mumbai Falcons Indian eRacing Championship in association with Volkswagen Motorsport India. Drivers are currently getting ready for what should be an exciting second race of today's race for the Pro Series, for the Mumbai Falcons Indian eRacing Championship in association with Volkswagen Motorsport India. Currently, drivers are currently in preparation. We'll be getting underway in a few minutes. What should be some exciting racing action. Stick around for today's coverage, because it's expected to be a doozy after what was an exciting finish to the opening round of the campaign for the pro drivers. Who will come up on top at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps? Stick around. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Green, green, green.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for what's expecting to be an exciting second race for the Mumbai Falcons Indian eRacing Championship in association with Volkswagen Motorsport India season. I'm Justin Prince, once again alongside me in the director's seat for tonight is Saurabh Bandyopadhyay. The drivers are currently getting prepared for what's expected to be a great round of racing action. Before we get to it, the Mumbai Falcons are undertaking several initiatives to innovate and possibly impact the entire motorsports ecosystem and its related facilities. Their vision is to develop supporting projects which impact the motorsport and next-generation automotive developments. They also envision to build a futuristic hub aided by a racetrack, which will serve as a multi-platform environment for innovative auto-related companies, provide educational excellence and a plethora of related fields, and provide a wholesome family experience. Drivers have 4 minutes of practice to prepare for today's action. This field is set via how they finished yesterday with an inversion also factored in. See how they begin with today's action as they continue to prepare around the racetrack. For those who tuned in yesterday, it was Emmett Kuti who came away with a checkered flag. Sai Prithvi was also quick in second spot to be able to also secure a podium position. Rounding out the top 3 podium positions in what was an exciting beginning to the campaign, to say the very least. With lots of battling across the racetrack, seen several drivers fight for a top 3 position, but it was Taji who came away with that specific spot. Teja, rather, I should say. But several of the newcomers are continuing to try and show what they can do today, like Fernandez, who showed some good speed. There's also an additional driver who has just put in the fastest time of the session. You see him at the top of the board. It's a second guest driver for the second race of the campaign. That is Federico Teixeira. Raced in the Macau Grand Prix, as well as raced touring cars in Asia, kart racing as well in Macau, as well as a motorbike racer. He's also been a sim racer for more than 10 years. So this is going to be interesting to see how the veterans of the series try and battle with the number 18 car on the racetrack today. One of the new things, a part of this series for those who tuned in yesterday, is the fan boost. And today, it's the voice of the Facebook fans, who will be able to give an additional point to their favorite driver. The drivers who receive the highestly acclaimed fan boost will be awarded that additional point per race. Make sure to vote on the Facebook chat today to be awarded those points. Yesterday was for YouTube, the day before it was for Instagram. Less than 2 minutes until racing action. Weather conditions tonight: 78 degrees Fahrenheit is the track temp. Track temp is 80 degrees. In sim time is about 8:15, as you see once again. Driver we're just referring to. Drivers such as Calvin showing what they can do today. They'll be trying to rebound in race number 2. They are also looking to do the same for rebounding for today. Expecting the same for Vishwas as well in his 95 machine. He has the chance to do so today. Practice times for drivers up to speed have seen the 41 of Oshan Kududia. Way up the board. Oshan Kurl was one of the veterans from the past competitions in this series' history. Fastest time at 2:15.493. Fastest overall now, once again, is set by the guest driver and Teixeira once again. Great sponsor, absolutely, in the Mumbai Falcons, but It's time to get to the racetrack. Let's take a look at how they will be with the inversion for today's action here on IR Esports for the opening race of the campaign. And Kit Roy is your pole sitter with the invert today. Kumar is in P2. David John starts in P number 3 today with Root up in P number 4. Summerwell starts in 5th position today with Viswaz up in the 6th spot. He showed some decent pace in the later stages of the event. In P number 7 today, it will be one of the drivers to keep an eye on today in the number 1 machine, Kashik and Raja. Cook Day is in P8, TG is in P9, and Deja rounds out the top 10. Your top 2 drivers from yesterday, and Prithvi and Kuti will have to start in traffic in 11th and 12th, while driver invert as per seen last season. Hernandez starts in 13th position, Yudri in 14th, Kaljik is starting at 15th, Dudia in 16th. Harris in 17th, Gavin, Kadudia, Ahmad round out the drivers. Last driver on the grid is our guest driver. Off and away, race number 2 of the Mumbai Falcons Indian eRacing Championship in association with Volkswagen Motorsport India is underway. Up the Kimmel straight they go for the first time today. Roy trying to break up some of the slipstream. Kumar trying to poke to the bottom side. Summerwell trying to also get a good run. There was trouble in Lake Combe last time here. This time the leader's going off the track. Several drivers collide. Spin at the front of the field. Several of the top drivers able to dive their way through. Everyone else flipping. Roy's in it. Root's in it. Priyavi collected. Viswaz also in the incident. Kaushik also stopped on the racetrack. And TNG is in the race lead with all the chaos. What a start to this race, to say the very least. The gap is about 1.2-ish seconds already up to the race lead. Cash is in second. Tejan is in P3. Kuti was able to get through cleanly to get up to P4. Among the drivers already out. Kevin Kaushik is already out of the race. Tajira, one of our guest drivers today, already out. Kumar with a tow. Roy with a tow. Root with a tow. Prithvi with a tow. So in total, 14 drivers able to survive the incident in Sector 1. G trying to hold on to several different drivers, trying to swap them around for positions. This is in the final chicane. One driver way wide. That's Oshan way off the racetrack. Pierce able to give him some space. This is the fight that is currently for about P7 on the racetrack. Kaushik having trouble. He spun around in the middle of the racing line. Other car spinning. Ahmad also spinning around, trying to avoid him in La Source. And you see the trouble, several drivers colliding with the 1 machine. And Cash having a bad string of races to start the campaign. Meanwhile, your race winner from yesterday is already 3.1 seconds back. The problem is, he is dealing with the fun of battling with one of the strong drivers yesterday, and Tasia, who is among the drivers fighting for a podium before mistakes. And the newest comer, and Fernandez, who impressed, able to get up to the field with the most spots gained yesterday to open the campaign. Wow. You can see that grouping. The question is, can TG hold on to the gap? There's about 16 minutes or so on the clock coming up. Fernandez has lost touch within a second to these two, the top 3. Now try and pull away. Should note that the 1 has had another off track, trying to get around the racetrack to try and use the faster pair available for him. The top 6 have been able to get off cleanly, including this man. Harris did not put in a qualifying time yesterday, had his off tracks in his qualifying attempts in 10 minutes or so of group qualifying. Today looking to show what he can do coming back today, learned a lot, to say the very least, he said, post-race. He is a part of the Porsche Asia talent pool. He's a Formula 3 driver for the Asian Championship, was 5th over on the standings in the past season. Also was a race winner during its Winter Series. Columbia-based driver. Showing some decent pace today, and that 21 was also fairly quick in practice. 3 also holding up very well. Should note that the 1 has had a technical issue. He is now done for the race, so he now joins the several DNFs. The first couple laps around the racetrack. Now, one thing to note, this is a classic pit start for today, meaning rather than what we normally see, especially even with the shorter pit lane, where the finishing line's at the end of the racetrack out of the final chicane, it's out on the source, as per the olden days to the early days of this racetrack. So that'll give some extra time later on. He's trying to make some moves, trying to get some slipstream. Of note, Kuti is trying to hold up P2 at the moment, and actually took the race lead. Where did that come from? TNG lost a ton of time, it appears, in the final chicane and was able to take advantage. So Kuti's in the race lead because TNG had a side spin in the final chicane coming to the end of the second lap. "14 minutes to go on the clock." Teja also within the top 3. Fernandez also quietly in 4th spot. Harris is also currently a few seconds behind in P5 on the racetrack. Pace is currently in the 2:15s. We'll see if he picks it up as the fuel starts to burn off. See, Cook Day is in P7, 15 seconds back. He was able to get through some of the carnage early on. Vishwash was able to do so in P8. Dudia also in 9th, and Dudia with a much better run in P10 for today. Now, for those tuning in, we'll be asking 3 questions about the duration of today's Pro Series event. The 3 people with correct answers will get exciting prizes. First question for viewers along today, on Facebook, on YouTube, along with Twitch, is first, who are the 2 Red Bull Junior drivers racing in Formula 2 this upcoming season? Be sure to comment in the various viewing sections for today's action. Second question as well, who did the high altitude dive for the Red Bull Stratos project? Ask our third question later on today. Looking at some of the air drivers, should note that Vishwas has had to come down to use a faster pair from the top 8. So some of the drivers you see here may have a shot to gain some track position. Prithvi, he had some horrible luck, remember last season, after being the title winner of the previous campaign. Same for Root. These 2 drivers showed a lot of pace in last campaign, but to start the Pro Series, having a lot of attrition. Federico Teixeira has also elected to come back into the race. He's in P15. See how he goes, as looks like the 1 has also returned back to the racetrack after having this technical issue. Roy's in 17th after being the race leader early on, and now is trying to pass by the 1. This is not for position. 3 drivers are still off the track. Kaushik, picking up the Iria and Kumar. Drivers today. 5 estimated laps to go this time by for the drivers. By the way, at the end of the racetrack, these drivers have about 6 laps to make their way around the racetrack, because see the backdrop, some of the other drivers trying to gain some time. Big dive on the source for Roy. He does gain some time on Cook Day, who also had to come in due to trouble for him. Again, this is not for position. This, however, is going to hold these drivers up a little bit. Roy trying to make a move on this position. Has now cycled 2 for position, apparently. They're being on different lap cycles moments ago. Enkit had a prediction for today's race. What was it? Take a listen.
Hello, my name is Ankit Roy and I am racing with IRE Sports in the Pro League. And today my prediction for the race is I should not crash. I just don't want to crash at the first lap itself. And I wish that I be in the top 10, and I think I'll probably be there like in the top 10. And no crash, please. I just don't want to be a part of that whole mess again, just like yesterday. And I think this is my prediction. Top 10. Say amen.
Currently hold on to the 16th position is Roy at the moment behind the number 1 machine. So one of the drivers, remember, who had to use a faster pair. The thing is, Roy had 3 minutes and 19 seconds with the tow. One had a technical issue as he tried to pedal it around the racetrack to hold on to as many points as he could. But Amit Kuti, yesterday's race winner, already is in the lead by more than 2 seconds over Tiaji Tejan. Rounds out the top 3 at the moment. This battle for second may not be done yet. A great recovery drive for the 46 compared to yesterday. This driver you see in P3 has to absolutely be in good spirits, I think. 19-year-old student has just 3 months of sim racing experience entering today. Has looked very, very good today as well as yesterday. Very poised, and now tries to hold that internet cord stays in. If anything was to happen, Fernandez has a chance to try and skip over. Want to touch upon that driver in the backdrop. See there a few seconds behind. 3 years of sim racing experience for the 20 machine, entering today 26 years old. His profession, filmmaker, hobby photographer. He was hoping to finish mid-table. The way he's looked so far, I think, based on what we've seen from Fernandez in terms of potential this season, he might be able to finish at the top part of the table. The question is going to be, though, how will we fare at the other tracks on the calendar? Some of the other tracks include the Nürburgring's Grand Prix circuit, round number 2, Hayama, which we've seen was absolutely crazy, legacy version, Daytona International Speedway, among many other favorites in this series' history. Coming up to 3 laps to go this time by, as he's now lost about a second. Harris is also doing a pretty decent job here today. Due to sim racing. Currently is about 5/10 off the car behind you. Tree is actually starting to reel him in a little bit. Walker, who's won it from the 4th level. Some also the World Test, Max Team Senior Series. Finished second overall in that championship twice in 2018 and 2019. See if Pierce is able to hold on to a top 5 in his second race in this series this season. He was able to gain a little bit of time off the corner. 3 laps to go for these drivers on screen this time by. 6 minutes on the clock in total. One driver that looked to try and bounce back after the day was involved in an earlier spin, but is still chugging along one lap down. That's the 23 of Najib. Come on, let's take a listen in. He spoke with IRE Sports prior to today's action.
Hi, this is Najib, and I'm from Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh. So I've been into racing from the last 3 years, and I've participated in multiple national championships. Volkswagen AMU Cup being the last one, where I stood 9th in the championship overall. My hobbies will be, other than racing, I usually go for long drives. That's the only hobby that I got, and not much serious, but I'm into photography. I really like both Sai and Amit because they're always on another level. Because how hard we practice, they're always on another level. I just hope I can reach up to their level. My sim setup is pretty basic. I just use a laptop and a G29 fixed on a desk in my office room.
Currently 18th, was also looking in good shape for a top 10 before he had that spin and some trouble involving the one machine. Under 5 minutes to go on the clock. We'll take this time to ask our final question. Do you know who the team principal is for the Aston Martin Red Bull Racing Formula One team? Be sure to follow the hashtags posted by IRE Sports, Facebook and YouTube versions of this broadcast, as well as those following along on Twitch today. For those tuning in, Amit Kuti looking to go 2 for 2. TG looking to go for his first podium of the season. In some of the invert races back last season, he looked fairly strong and was able to actually come away with some decent points hauls in some of those races. Today it's been very clean. He stayed out of the early trouble, and outside of that side spin, he's been looking fairly sporty. However, Teja has slowly been reeling on in back within a second that had broken up by a second and a half a few laps ago. Some good driving from the veteran, to say the very least. A 2:15.1 last time by, but a 2:14.7 for one of the newcomers. See, the gap is slowly but surely growing, it seems, in Sector 2, and this is one of the most difficult parts. Again, we talked dirty air during the Junior Series race. Once you get into some of these chicanes, it can really push your car tight and force you to get off the throttle. And this is the most technical part of the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps shop amongst its 20-plus corners. It's trying to follow single file and choo-choo train. You can handle it right, though. You can handle some slipstream to try and take a dive for a pass, whether in the final chicane we've seen several times today, or whether in Les Combes, as we've seen as the most popular spot in the series so far in the past couple races. Everyone's fan favorite, by the way, is in P4, 8 seconds back of the race leader, about 3 seconds back of the next position. In solid shape to keep that position, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes. Let the rear-wheel driver go. He has also kept him within arm's reach in POS. Has not been able to get within more than a second these past few laps. As soon as they got within the second, the aero push started pushing some of these competitors' time. Jean Cadudia, he's recovered to a P7. And the action so far, a plus 12 overall in the race. When you think about the starting grid positions, some of the earlier trouble. He's the first driver who used the faster pair. Summerblow, Dudia, Viswaz among those drivers next in the ordering. And Cowan's in P11, Sai Prithvi not within range to even get up to 11th spot at the moment. He's in 12th. Will need some big time luck to gain some spots on the final lap. White flag is out, as you see in the top corner of the screen. About a minute to go is on the clock for Root and Company. Teixeira is currently in 14th. Our guest driver was involved in that big one in the first lap. Roy as well is involved as well as the one machine. Ahmad is the last driver running at the moment, but one man has been dominant. One final sector to go for the defending champion, Ahmed Kuti. Time looking like he'll reach the final spans in the final corners for the Blue Warrior. But it's been a dominant run for this driver. He got the chance to get real-world experience. With the top prize last season, he's propelled himself into great spots to do so again this season. A couple more corners to go for the 16-year-old student. Lap traffic lets him on go. That's Roy. Nice and patient as the time has run out. Ahmed Kuti starts off the opening weekend of the season with the sweep. He wins race number 2 of the Mumbai Falcons Indian eRacing Championship in association with Volkswagen Motorsport India's Pro Series. TG comes home with a P2, and Teja ends off the weekend with a podium spot. Fernandez, the fan favorite, finishes in 4th, Purus in P5, Yadri comes home in P6, although he did take one last gasp in the final few laps. Katadia was able to come home in P7, it appears, as Summerwell is about a full 2 corners back for P number 8 in the 64 machine. Rudy, a much better drive today after being involved in the earlier incidents, is behind him in P number 9 on the racetrack. This watch appearing to round up the top 10 as the last drivers get ready to cross the stripe. In total today, 15 drivers finishing on the lead lap. Drivers who will not do that: Roy, Ahmad, Cook, David, the DNF, Kumar, Adira Raja, and Kaushik today. Sai Prithvi going to have to work deep from the points in P12 after today. Rest of the drivers will cross the stripe with many spaces among them for the positions. Here's again the race classification after today. Ahmed Kuti with the full sweep of the opening weekend of the action. He's your winner in races 1 and 2 at the Circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. TG finished in 2nd today with the invert. Teja finished in P3. A good run for him today. Fernandez impressing many today. Was the biggest mover yesterday. Is one of the biggest movers today. In total, he goes +9 for a P4 finish. Purus +12. He is tied for the most spots gained in the race. He was able to beat Yadri by just under a second. Sean Kadadia finished in P number 7, Summerwell in P8, Rudy in P9, Biswash in P10. Calvin and Prithvi round out the top 12. The rest of the drivers, Root in 13th. 14th spot went to Teixeira with Kaj in P number 15. Roy, Ahmad, Cook Day, Kumar, Badiraja, and Kaushik rounded out the drivers today. An eventful one today, and I think the one driver who's going to have a lot of smiles on his face is the man in the 12 machine. He gets the full sweep of the weekend. How are you feeling, Ameth?
I'm feeling great. I'm so lucky to have avoided the collision in turn 4, turn 5. And it was pretty easy from then on. Just had to take 2 cars, and it was quite an easy race compared to yesterday.
It was an interesting one to say the very least. What was going through your head as you tried to reel in TG, and then you seen up in the distance that he had a 4-tire drift in the final chicane to burn off all the gap he had on after the wreck?
Yeah, I was already catching him, but I wasn't catching him at a rapid pace, only around 2-3 tenths per sector. And then I saw him make a mistake in the final corner, and my eyes glowed up. I knew I could overtake him into the chemo straight, but then he made another mistake in turn one, the final turn, which I was lucky enough to avoid. So he basically handed me the lead.
Overall, though, a strong weekend to start off the championship fight. What's going to be your focus like for the next race, though, because it goes to a completely different racetrack? That track on the schedule this season being the Nürburgring.
I actually like Nürburgring quite a bit, and it's gonna be quite cool to go to another new venue. I don't really have a change in mindset. It's just gonna be the same as this weekend to do well and try to win the race. So yeah.
Who do you want to thank for being a part of your weekend sweep to start off the season?
I'd like to thank all the audience, IR Esports, Volkswagen Motorsport, and Mumbai Falcons for giving me the opportunity to race this weekend.
Congratulations on the back-to-back victories to start off the Pro Series season.
Thank you.
Once again, that's Amit Kuti coming away with the victory today. And what was a dominant performance for the man in the blue machine. Some other drivers standing by, many looking to try and get the words in. Why don't we go to one of the drivers who are involved in some of the chaos if we can? And Rohit Roop, do you have a copy? Mr. Root, do you have a copy, sir? We was dealing with an audio issue. We'll try this one more time. Root, do you have a copy? Speak to the birthday boy in a second, allow him to work on said situation. But one of the drivers I think that fairly impressed some drivers today was Oshan. And his performance today, he was tied for the most positions gained today. Oshan, do you have a copy?
Hi, yes, I can copy.
First of all, have to ask your opinion. You started at the back of the field today. What was going through your head when you seen, oh hey, there's 7-8 cars in the grass?
Well, that's made up positions. I just saw, okay, that's like gold for me because I'm making up so many positions. I kind of knew that I had pace for the midfield. So if I'm making up positions on lap 1, C1 crashes or C2 crashes, then yeah, I'm more than happy to take them. So yeah, I just had a smile on my face, but even I had a small damage, so I had to pit. Otherwise, I think I had pace to fight for maybe top 5.
Yeah, you were actually the first driver who took a faster pair, who had to come down and pit. In fact, you're the only driver who didn't take tires when they did that as well. What was the drive like overall in this race, though, to be able to get those positions as well as make sure you didn't make any mistakes?
Yeah, I think most important was not getting tires because what I've observed is the moment I change tires, they stay good or consistent throughout the race. But like the first 3-4 laps, it's super cold, so it's hard to actually push the moment you're out of the pits. So yeah, I think that helped quite a lot to maintain that pace and keep fighting with the people in front, or just maintaining gap with everyone who are either front or behind me.
Great point, especially with the cold tires, especially known for being the fastest on a third lap in some of the open wheelers. But next race goes to the Nürburgring. Your thoughts on going to that track for 2 more races?
Yeah, I'm super excited that I want to race on Nürburgring, but I unfortunately can't because I have some commitments personal on my personal side. So as much as I'm looking forward to race at Nürburgring, I can't, and that's the sad part. So
what
for
do you
me,
expect? Go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, this championship is more about maximizing from the races that I'm doing.
Apologize there for cutting off the split second there. Was going to ask, what do you expect your competitors to do then at that track?
Yeah, well, I'm guessing the leaders are going to make the most of it, but yeah, the midfield, it's hard to say because there are so many crashes or incidents, and some of them maybe end up in the pits. So the one who's going to be consistent is going to be in the front. That's what I see it like. So maybe 1 or 2 races down, I'll know who I'll be competing with or who I should be focusing on in the race to fight against or to not fight against.
Who do you want to thank for being a part of your top 10 run today?
Uh, the ones who crashed. I would thank them because yeah, they made my gaining of positions easy for finishing in top 10.
Congratulations on the good run today, going from 19th to 7, Oshan.
Thank you.
Oshan Katadia coming home in P7 today. Strong driving to stay out of some of the trouble. Take this chance now to try and catch up with the birthday boy. Rohit Root joins us in the broadcast booth. Do you have a copy, sir?
Hello, Justin. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. First of all, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Second of all, you didn't get the best of birthday celebrations and going through the comb. What happened?
Didn't went as per the plan. Actually, I was keeping safe from the guys in front and back as well. But I think there was quite a big contact in front, and cars were like dancing all over the track, and I had no place to go. And so I hit a guy in front, and then someone hit me from behind. So I had to tow my car, and 3.5 minutes of towing on this track is like almost race over for you.
Yeah, absolutely unfortunate, especially with several drivers collecting in that, at least 6 or 7 in total with the damage.
Yeah.
What was kind of your mindset like after that to try and recover as many points as you could?
I actually did not see how many crashed, but I was hoping like uh, they'll also lose the equal amount of time which I am losing, and then I might have a battle with them when I get back on track. But I think they were out of the pits quite quickly, and then again it was just put in some good laps. I tried my best, but the gap in front was quite big uh, and was not able to make it.
Your focus on trying to recover then for Nürburgring, what's that going to be like for next weekend?
The plan will be same as this week, like to have good consistency. If not the fastest, but to do a good pace consistently and stay out of trouble. Uh, that will be the focus. Lap one will I'll try to be more cautious. Try to avoid the contacts.
Who do you want to thank for being a part of your race today?
First of all, thank you to the organizers, IRE Sports, for having this season, and then all the sponsors, Mumbai Falcons, Volkswagen Motorsports India, then we have Red Bull India. Everyone I'd like to thank, and also the fans who voted for me. I think I had quite a few votes yesterday. I don't know about today, but yeah, thanks for watching and thanks for supporting.
Yeah, just looking through, you had at least a few in the final stages of the race for the fan boost on the Facebook side today. Congratulations on the decent run today in recovery.
Thank you, Justin.
It's Rohit Root joining us. He finished in 13th today, but an interesting opening weekend to say the very least. It was a mix of survival and pace to decide how things went. The next race for the Pro Series takes place on August the 1st when we go to the Nürburgring. They'll be on the Grand Prix circuit to see who can come away with the checkered flag. Will Amith Kuti try and go 3 for 3? Or will someone else try and step up, say a Sai Priyathvi or a Teja or a Fernandez? We'll have to wait and see come next weekend. But with that, it's time to say goodbye. We'd like to thank our sponsors once again in the Mumbai Falcons, as well as the association with Volkswagen Motorsport India. We'd also like to thank the fans who cheered on their favorite drivers throughout the weekend using the fan boost, whether on YouTube on Saturday or Facebook on Sunday. We'd also like to thank those who took part in the Instagram story vote the previous day on Friday. But with that, it's time to say goodbye. For my director, Saurabh Banjopadhyay, I'm Justin Prince saying so long, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Congratulations to Amit Kuti on getting the full sweep at the Circuit of Spa Francorchamps.